Well, guys, apparently the market is officially dead. It's all over. We had a good run because stocks are absolutely tumbling. I mean, you can see here the S&P today down 4.7%, almost 5%. The Nasdaq down over 5%. But there's one thing doing pretty well considering everything going on in these markets, and that's Bitcoin is actually up today. Well, these other indices are down 5%, which is actually pretty impressive. If we even go out more to the week, Bitcoin's down almost 1%, but the Nasdaq over 10%, 11% down, the S&P down almost 10%. So, in the wake of these markets tumbling, people freaking out, Bitcoin's actually holding up pretty well. So, it's kind of interesting to see that coming up, but people are talking like the end of the world is here, and everything's going to be terrible for now on. And basically, like, this is the time where people make money in the stock market, in Bitcoin, is when there's max fear. When everyone's scared, that's a pretty good time to be buying typically. I mean, if we look back to like 2020, everyone was scared and freaked out then. Now, I don't think this would be anywhere near 2020 because there was such a sharp decline, as well as the Fed came in, printed money, flooded the market, flooded the economy, stimulated everything, and then, everything rallied after that. I don't think that's going to happen this time. I don't even think that's a bad thing. With the stock market, you can see the worst day, April 3rd, was the worst day in the stock market since 2020. So since the kind of, even June, so a little bit after, but since 2020, the year where everything was uncertain and collapsing, today was worse. So not a great thing, right? And if you look at the open on the worst day, we were down $1.65 trillion was wiped out of the US stock market. And that was the open. At the close of the day, it erased over $3 trillion. And now today, which is April 4th, they are again going down 5%. So this $3.1 trillion number is only getting bigger. It might even be over $4 trillion now with the market collapsing how it is. A lot of the things pointing to tariffs, people uncertain about tariffs and what Trump's is doing. Basically, that's kind of what the market's doing. No one just knows what to expect, right? The tariffs have been saying they're going to be levied, they pulled back, and then they're going to be going on again, and they get pulled back, and then they're a shorter amount, and then they get pulled back. So the amount of times of Trump putting tariffs out, pulling them back, lowering them, doing this and that is really the biggest reason. There's just uncertainty. And the one thing all markets hate is uncertainty. But speaking of Trump, the Republican side, the right side of everything, there was a company that's on that side for news that went an IPO'd, and that would be Newsmax. And this company went parabolic when it IPO'd. This thing IPO'd at $10, went up 2,000% in one day, basically, up to $210, and was just an insane run for a news cable company. Like, what are we doing here? This might be a sign of a bubble because I don't know the financials of this thing, but it's a cable company. Like, there's no way that this thing's rallying 2,000% in a day on fundamentals. So had you have participated in this, if you put 10 grand into Newsmax when they IPO'd, you would have made or had $200,000 when basically within a day. So now they didn't hold that, right? So they went down, they crashed down 78% to $53 here. And if we go ahead and look at the stock now, it's at $48 right now. So still, up, right? Still up from when they IPO'd here at $10, all the way to rally at 214, down to $48, $50 around that mark. Still just kind of insane for a company, maybe kind of showing what's going on in the markets here, because just no one knows what's going on. No one has any simple idea. A cable company went up 2,000% in one day while the entire market collapsed and continues to collapse based on tariff fears. No one knows what's going on, and uncertainty kills any market. But that doesn't mean that you should stop investing, get away from the market, and just ignore everything and pretend it doesn't exist. I think that would be the wrong move. just like in 2020, when there was a massive uncertainty and fear and people were abandoning the market and the market was collapsing, uh, there's always be reasons to not invest, to not get in the market, to stay away. Always there'll be some boogeyman out there to say, oh, something could happen, it'll be disastrous. There's people that are like that, and the people say, they predicted 42 of the last 2 recessions because they just constantly say, bad is coming, bad's coming, it's going to be terrible, and eventually something bad will happen, and they'll point to it and say they won when the market rallied 100% and then dropped 10%, and they'll say, see, we were right, but you missed out on everything. So kind of like in 2020, when everything was uncertain, if you still invested to this point, you did pretty good, right? Even just looking at the indexes, picking individual stocks is its own monster. But just in general, the market has gone up and continues to go up every year, regardless of what's going on. So it's just kind of like there'll always be something to be worried about. But if you look at it that way, you'll just miss everything. But another funny thing happened with Robinhood and their stock. They had their earnings call. You can see this yesterday. The Robinhood CEO looked at their stock while their earnings was going on. It was down 25%. And they said, okay, just looked at the screen, started freaking out that their stock was tumbling. And yeah, basically just kind of funny news, right? With everything happening, individual stocks are getting hammered. The indexes are dropping, right? They are not having a good time. The S&P down 11% for the month. The week still 10%. Like, things are falling. It sucks and it hurts. And basically, what might end up happening from this is like these tariffs are getting rolled back because people will not put up with pain, even though it's probably the right decision for a long-term thinking is trying to, get things working in the US here and, do stuff to incentivize working in the US. But like, people just aren't willing to do any short-term pain. Like, the market's down 10%. And people are freaking out, calling it the end of the world, saying everything is terrible, and it's 10%. Also, the stock market and the economy are not the same thing. So, Wall Street and financiers and all these people who are deeply invested in the market might look at this and say, these are the worst times ever. Other people who are just working normal jobs, they don't really feel it. Even if they have 401ks, maybe they aren't looking at it every day, right? And they just kind of look at it at the end of the year or quarterly, or probably don't even look at it at all. They don't even know what's going on. All they want is higher wages or higher purchasing power and making their money go farther. And if that means that Wall Street loses for a bit, I don't think normal people actually care that much. So whereas this is a massive deal and everyone talks about it in the finance world, in the real world, people might not even know that it's going on because they just don't have money invested, or they just don't pay attention to or care. So it's just kind of funny, the two worlds, how different they can be. And yeah, I mean, will this end? I think so. I mean, like, the US isn't dying. It's not going to be the end of the world. The stocks aren't going to go to zero, and American companies aren't going to disappear. But short term, with all the uncertainty, yeah, there can be a lot of pain. But the funniest thing that I think from all of this is the Bitcoin thing, where Bitcoin is actually performing pretty good compared to all these other things. And I don't think a lot of people would have expected that. I think they would have thought Bitcoin would have just collapsed with the market. And some people are saying that, but it just isn't. The market's down 10% for the week. Bitcoin's up for the week. So even for the month, Bitcoin's up for the month. The market's down for the month. So, just kind of interesting. Maybe the tides are turning and Bitcoin's becoming more favorable. I don't know. But for now, the market seemingly in free fall, probably going to be massively volatile. And people who are invested in Bitcoin are used to volatility like this. Traditional markets, they don't like this one bit. That's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next